Hey everybody, Edo here, and this is the Panda Classic Component Guidebook. A while back I actually did a review of their print materials graphic design guide for setting things up for print. That guide is fantastic. This guide is excellent as well, though not quite as detailed in the how-to so much as what you can use, but I thought it was good, worth checking out. There is a link which goes to a PDF version, but just to give you an idea. And again, I mean, I think this is good. Panda does fantastic work, but you can also look at this work and talk to other manufacturers too. Don't tell Panda I said that. But they just do a great job of laying out how to think about things, right? Thinking about Pantone, custom shapes, you know, how the printing works and your material options, right? All of these things are part of thinking about how to price and expand your game. So this is really good if you're thinking about, hey, maybe I want to do something special, like with wooden shapes, right? You can have standard wooden shapes, which are going to be cheaper, right? If you've seen it in another game, there's a good chance there's a standard unit. Huge reduction in cost if you just use a standard existing piece. But then you can also make custom shapes, right? And I think that's what they start going into here. You can have custom shapes, you can have detail on the shapes, printing. If you're going to print, each color is a screen print. Like if you ever did like screen printing at school or whatever, like you do it one, then the other, right? So every time you put another color over, you cost more money. But if you do a nice combination of the print color and the color of the wood underneath, you can do some cool things. There's also the acrylic shapes. You know, I don't think these are used enough and in enough good ways. They're really cool, and especially when you use the see-through stuff in a good use, right? So that's a good one. Dice. Dice can be expensive. Custom dice can be expensive, but you can do some really cool things. So when you're thinking about dice, you can think about how it's etched or cut or printed, how it works. Standard, you can have some cool dice that are standard even though they're cool. So there's different things you can do here. Plastic discs and poker chips. I have not done these yet. This is a category of content I'm super excited about, and I definitely foresee games in the future of Pencil First games that use it. You know, Splendor made this a thing, so definitely something to keep in mind when you're thinking about the types of chips and the weight of chips. But these are super cool. And again, in this guide, I'm not reading through it all, but you should check it out because they talk about ways you can customize, how to think about pricing, and how to think about your design. It's super useful. This guide is great. Again, even if you're not printing with Panda, and Panda's great, but if you're not printing with Panda, this is still worth reading. And so send them a thank you. Pawns, I have not done special pawns. Pawns versus Meeple is this, like I think of it as this rounded bit. And there's lots of them that you can use. I tend to like what you can do with the Meeples, so I haven't done pawns. Metal objects, right? I have not done metal in a game yet. I want to someday. Super cool. And you can just do so many cool things. Look here, we got the color, we got the etching, we got the hole. I mean, thinking about and working through metal objects is like a big deal, which I have not yet taken on. Plastic and glass shapes. You think about them as Mancala. Lots of options here. Very different tactile feel than some of the other options, and they can be great. People do enjoy them. And you can even do the crystals and gems. These are usually when you have objects that are the representation of, you know, like an object like, hey, a power cube or a gem. Skulk Hollow will likely have this for power cubes, though we might go for gold, which could be painted wood or plastic. We'll figure that out. A couple different options there. These are containers. Like, this is really advanced stuff, but ways of showing and manufacturing. You can see that Stonemeyer. You know, Jamie uses these guys for all their stuff, but like you're executing at a really high level when you have that stuff built in, like in Scythe, but you can, and here's a lot of detail on how to think about it. And little bags, cloth bags. These are pretty standard. Lots of options there in terms of material, string, color, print. Tons to do. Again, I'm not reading through all this. I just want to emphasize this information is great. It's all laid out. These documents are fantastic. And if you're making board games, you owe yourself to read this. And sorry about this, like, I've got this weird tripod where I keep that it's straight on, but it's not straight on in front of me, so I keep organizing this wrong, but we'll set that aside. Plastic stands are pretty standard. Important for plastic stands is how thick they are and how you want to approach it that way, but you shouldn't have to have custom plastic stands, I would think. Rivets and spinners, additional things you can use. I haven't done much with this before, but I feel like those are pretty standard. Sand timers. Who uses sand timers these days? But no, there are options here, and another option is also called an app. But sand timers for those who are interested. Rubber play mats. These are very popular as stretch goals, and printing them in China or externally is good. But you can also find lots of great US-based alternatives there just for like stretch goals. But if you're going to include it in every game, that's something to consider. Snap bases. These are standard with miniatures. You're going to get different colors, and they're used to denote player types between similar-looking miniatures. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of just having a base represent like the difference between players, but whatever, some people do it. And last, oh, you know what's not in here? Interestingly enough, unless I missed it, I'll look. Minis are not in here. Panda does a bunch of those, but you know, that's something that they probably could have a whole book dedicated to. Writing implements, pencils, that kind of thing. Good to know. And, you know, just to keep in mind some great key terms here, and that's a doc. So really, you know, again, I like Panda. They do a lot of great stuff for the industry. They make a lot of great games. They printed my first game, Lift Off, Get Me Off This Planet. I've been using Watts Games quite a bit, but I stay in touch with these guys. But a document like this is so valuable and such a good read, whether you're working with Panda or not. It's worth your time. So even if you have another printer, check it out and then send Panda some good vibes for helping you out. But this is the Panda Classic Component Guidebook.
Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.